Phil Grande at philsgang.com. We are being fed a line of garbage. This market has had it. Why? Because the tech stocks have been leading this market. Let me show you what I mean. If you look at my chart here, remember, if we go all the way back to 2008, it was tech stocks that drove this market all the way up, 1,200% tech. And then when we had our collapse right here, that was they called it the pandemic collapse. But it had nothing to do with pandemic. It was because they went from rates that were at, the 10-year Treasury was at 1.6%. They moved it up to 2.6%. That's why it collapsed. Then they moved it back down to 1.6, and we had that big rally. They moved the yields back up again, and we had the collapse. So the average yield on the 10-year Treasury was about 1.6%, creating these rallies. But the minute they moved them up just a little bit, we'd have our corrections. This is the big one. We have moved up on a yield of 5% for the 3-month Treasury, which used to always be about 0.1%, or let's even say 0.25%, the highest. And then the 10-year Treasury always was 1.6. Now the 10-year Treasury is 4.4, the 3-month Treasury is 5.5, and this is not going to work. So between the yields being too high, and you take the valuations are now 30% higher than they were, okay, 30% higher than they were over a 10-year average, and they're not going to turn around and bring rates back to zero. There's only one place for the market to go. The Nasdaq is going to lead the market all the way back down to this crucial area right here. That was again, the pandemic crash. That's where they dropped the rates back to zero. They can't drop rates back to zero right now. And the biggest problem they're going to have is they're not admitting they're in a recession. And we are. And always remember this about the Fed. We've had 48 recessions. Why? They caused them. Why? Because they're inept. Remember, you don't get appointed to the Federal Reserve Board because of your intelligence. It has to do with politics. So when all of a sudden they keep raising rates to bring down inflation, what they don't realize, inflation is already going down. They don't realize it. And they keep on tightening. And when they do realize they screwed up, made a mistake, what do? They panic. And then they start cutting rates, making things even worse. That's exactly where we are now. So we're just repeating the same old, same old. And that's why this market is going to go again, looking at my chart. From up here, we have the highest valuations ever. We have a 10-year Treasury yield and 3-month Treasury yield, highest ever. It's going to take us all the way down here. When's that going to happen? The minute the big institutions like JP Morgan and insurance companies get their clients out. That's why they do buying a dip. Once they're out, it's over. We'll go back to that low of 2020. For more information on my stock picks and my color-coded charts to tell you when to buy and sell, go to philsgang.com. See you on the charts.